Hi team, today we're going to do some mac and cheese. Technically I don't have macaroni, so I'm making spirals, so spiral and cheese, but same. So today is really all about making a really good white sauce. If you can make a good white sauce, you can make anything. It'll set you up for life. So we're going to do that, and we'll go from there. I've got a funny little contraption made here on the side with a couple of bowls on top of each other because I want to angle my iPad over the pan, so hopefully that works. The first thing though, just in my pot here, you'll see I've got just over halfway full a pot water that I want to put on to boil. Okay, so I'm putting that on first, and then I'm just going to move it up here into my funny little bowl. And hopefully you can see my pan. Alrighty, so I've got my pot on to boil. I want lots of salt in there. I'm putting like this much salt in there because I want it to taste, if you taste it, it should taste like salty seawater. Right, I want my pan on about halfway, so it's about halfway round. I like to use a pan rather than a pot to make my white sauce because it's got a wider base and it doesn't have sharp corners. I find sometimes if you use a pot with the 90-degree angles, you can get flour stuck in there and get lumps and stuff. And I tend to use a wooden spoon when I'm making it. You can use a whisk if you find that you're getting lumps, but with a non-stick pan like this, you don't want to whisk in there because it'll ruin your pan. Okay, so if you need to use a whisk, take it out of your pan into a bowl or something and whisk it. But if you follow instructions and use a wooden spoon, fingers crossed you shouldn't need a whisk anyway because you're not going to get lumps. Okay, into my pan. I have 50 grams of butter that I'm going to melt. Just going to crank that up a little bit while it melts. And then all we need in our white sauce is butter, flour, milk, and some salt and pepper. Okay, obviously we're making mac and cheese, so we're going to add cheese to it as well. But a white sauce you can turn then into anything. Alright, so you want to make a mushroom sauce, you add mushrooms. You want to make a parsley sauce, you add parsley. So this is the basic sauce. This is called one of the 5 mother sauces. And when you do your chef training and stuff, you learn the 5 mother sauces that they say basically everything else can be made from. And the real name for a white sauce is a bechamel. So we are making a bechamel sauce. Okay, so I'm melting my butter down and I've got my pot on to boil. Into my melted butter, I'm going to put about 2 heaped tablespoons of flour. Alright, just get that to melt a wee bit more. So heaped tablespoon, so up over the top, and just sprinkle it over. And you stir that down to make like a paste. Okay, and I'll turn that back down. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so you want to get all the flour. This is called a roux. It's spelled R-O-U-X. And a roux is just the basic butter and flour paste. It's the base of many sauces. It's named after a very famous chef who actually just recently died. But a lot of the traditional French culinary stuff came from him. Okay, so I stir it around a little bit. So I've made my roux. So it's like a paste. Into there, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of milk, but I'm going to do it a little bit at a time, and that's the trick. If I tip all of that in now, I'm going to get lumps. Okay, so what I do, I add a little bit, and I stir it in. Okay, get rid of all of those lumps in there. If it's too hot, just take it over to the side of your element a little bit. Okay, a little bit more. So we do it in probably about 4 batches, and this is why I said I like to use a pan rather than a pot, because you can see there's no flour getting stuck in the corners, whereas sometimes with a pot I find it does. Okay, so I've got to get rid of all of these lumps. So I just stir them out with my wooden spoon. This is where if you wanted to use a whisk, you can use a whisk, but again I'm not going to do that in my lovely non-stick pan. So again, if you were using a pot, you could do that. Okay, so I've stirred all that milk in again, another batch. And you can see it's coming together nicely. Okay, I'm using the base of my spoon just for a bit more wider, and I'm squishing out all those lumps. Okay, and now I'm going to add a bit more of my sauce, my milk. And this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful white sauce. Okay, and just my last little bit of milk into there. So 50 grams of butter, 2 heaped tablespoons of flour, and 1.5 cups of milk. And the last thing I want to add into that is some salt, about a teaspoon of salt, and pepper. And then we just want to let that cook out a bit. Okay, and that's basically done. Beautiful white sauce. Alright, so I'm going to add into there my grated cheese, which I haven't actually done yet, so I will do that. Okay. And we just let it just on low, right down low, and just let it cook out. It'll keep thickening up a wee bit. If it gets too thick, add a little bit more milk to get it to the consistency you want. For my mac and cheese, I like it quite thick because when I add the pasta, there's usually a little bit of moisture on it from the water from the cooking, so it thins it down a wee bit then as well. Okay. My water is boiling, my pot is boiling, so I'm adding my pasta into that. Depending on how many people you're making it for, I usually say about a cup. Whoops, brilliant measuring on my part, but about a cup like that would be enough for 2 people. Right. 2 decent size things. So I'm going to do about 1.5 cups for that amount of sauce. If your pasta's cooked at the end and you add it to the sauce, you might want to add a wee bit more milk right at the end, just to get your consistency right. Okay, so I'm going to add my cheese to that, about 8 to 10 minutes in that boiling water for my pasta, and then I'm just going to mix it all together. Your goal is to add 2 serves of vegetables into it. Okay, so whatever vegetables you've got at home, think about what would go nicely in here and add it. If you wanted to, right at the end of your boiling pasta, so after 8 minutes, if you've got some broccoli, some cauli, anything like that, you can just drop it in there for the last, say, minute, just to give it a little blanch. Sometimes I like to dice up a little bit of pumpkin, and I'll chuck that in there and boil it up with my pasta a little bit first. Peas, corn, mushrooms, capsicums, courgettes, anything you've got at home, chuck it in. And make sure you plate it up and take a beautiful photo of it for me. Alright, let's get you out of my weird little contraption here of my bubbles. Okay, have fun, make beautiful pasta, and make sure you take photos and send them to me.